This is Thomas Edward Lawrence, but you may know him by another name, Lawrence of Arabia, as depicted in the 1962 Hollywood blockbuster that won 7 Oscars. But beyond his romanticized image resides a much colder truth, that he was a man that helped the Arabs defeat the Ottomans during the First World War, in the name of their achieving independence, whilst coming to know that it was all based upon a lie. Shortly after the onset of the First World War in 1914, when the British were fighting the Ottomans across the Middle East, they recruited a 26-year-old scholar and archaeologist by the name of Thomas Edward Lawrence, who had spent several years prior working and living in Ottoman Syria and Palestine, during which time he gained fluency in Arabic, intimate knowledge of tribal politics and loyalties, and not to mention surveying great stretches of Ottoman-controlled Arab lands. To find such a skill set in one person was a rarity and perfect for the needs of the British Army, who assigned him to their newly formed intelligence unit, the Arab Bureau. In 1916, the Sharif of Mecca made an agreement with the British to stage a revolt against the Ottomans, in return for an independent Arab state, formed of Arab lands from the carcass of the Ottoman Empire, an independent state that they believed included Palestine. But the rebellion of the Arabs turned out to be chaotic and clumsy and going nowhere, and the British wanted an inside take as to what was going wrong. And so they needed someone with intimate knowledge of tribal politics. And they had just the person. The young Lawrence was sent to the Hijaz with one task: observe, assess, and report back to British command in Egypt. When Lawrence arrived in October of 1916, he met with the sons of the Sharif of Mecca, and quickly noted that it was Emir Faisal that was best suited to lead the rebellion. Upon the assessment of Lawrence, Britain made Emir Faisal their preferred Arab contact. And instead of recalling Lawrence back to Cairo, they allowed him to stay with Emir Faisal as a liaison officer. The talented Lawrence soon noted other reasons why the rebellion was failing. Not least, they were outmatched militarily by the Ottomans. And so he made a suggestion. The Ottomans need not be destroyed. They simply need to be paralyzed. And this is where he slipped into a new role: a guerrilla strategist. Over the next year, Lawrence would travel with the Arabs and live like an Arab, playing a significant role in contributing to the plotting and the coordination of attacks on Ottoman infrastructure, such as targeting railway lines, derailing trains, and cutting telephone lines. The result: tens of thousands of Ottoman soldiers were pinned down in defending infrastructure, as opposed to fighting the British elsewhere. The Arab revolt was tasting success and was about to experience more. On the advice of Lawrence, the Arabs travelled hundreds of miles across the desert to attack and capture the Ottoman-held Red Sea port of Aqaba from its landward side, a move the Ottomans thought impossible to execute. The capture of Aqaba had not only established a secure base for the Arabs, but had opened a new channel for British supplies to reach them, and had transformed the Arab revolt into a legitimate threat. But amidst the joy of success, Lawrence was facing a moral crisis. Toward the end of 1916, he came to know that a secret deal had been made between the British and the French. known as the Sykes-Picot Agreement, in which most of the Ottoman-held Arab lands would be carved up between them. Lands that the Arabs believed would form part of their independent state. Lawrence realized that the Arabs had been duped, and it troubled him deeply. But despite knowing this, he turned a blind eye and continued to fight alongside the Arabs, knowing that the dream that they were fighting for was a pack of lies. Lawrence strongly believed in Arab independence and would continue to fight for it, politically, publicly, and personally after the war. But to no avail. Thomas Edward Lawrence played a significant role in the Arabs defeating the Ottomans in the First World War, whilst simultaneously being pulled into a game of deceit not of his making, pitting his sense of duty against his conscience. A confrontation where his sense of duty prevailed. For the rest of his life, Lawrence lived with an intense guilt and retreated from public life, a stark contrast to his glamorized image that Hollywood has portrayed. So what is his legacy? Well, let me ask you a question. If your sense of duty was pitted against your conscience, which would you choose?